12 times?
Welcome to the 30-minute hour. It's the personal development podcast for authors, entrepreneurs, and career professionals who are looking to level up and become unstoppable. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. Joining me as always, you know him as the super CEO, the business strategist extraordinaire, and all-around good guy, Ted Fells.
And also the guy that doesn't know what day of the week it is, because we normally do this on Mondays, and I used to say Happy Monday, and I caught myself for saying that because it is Thursday.
That's right.
Happy Thursday.
That's right. It's a special Thursday night edition of the 30-minute hour podcast. Our guest today, her story is so inspirational that I say, we can't wait till a Monday. Right? We can't wait. Yeah. We need to get her on immediately. That's what I was saying. So that's why we're doing this special Thursday night episode. We really wanted to get her message told. I think it's something, especially if you look at the time we're in with the pandemic, people, they feel like they're in this rock bottom place in some cases, and they need to hear her message. But we'll give her the formal introduction here in just a little bit. But this is not your everyday podcast.
No.
Ted, we do things a little different on the 30-minute hour podcast.
We do it a little different. It's not your everyday podcast, but it feels like we're doing podcasts every day. That's what it's feeling like.
It feels like it, Ted, because it's true. We do podcasts every day, but it's not your everyday podcast.
No, not at all.
But no, you can always watch us live on Facebook and LinkedIn, and shout out to the folks that are watching us on Twitch. We are now live on Twitch, so shout out to the Twitchers out there.
I'm telling you, Eric, man, you never cease to amaze me, man. It's always another platform, something else up your sleeve.
Yeah, got to keep it interesting. Got to keep tweaking and changing things.
All right.
Also we're on Instagram, the 30-minute hour. You can watch us on Instagram Live. Shout out to those of you who are watching me right now. And then we always record these and we send them to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and anywhere else where you like to listen to your podcasts. And I do need to tell you about the What Now Movement Facebook group. You need to go ahead and join. We've got 1,610 people or so.
It's growing by the minute.
It's growing.
Minute.
Yep, absolutely. Today is Thursday. So today is Thought Leadership Thursday. And we had an awesome thought leader today. She went on live at 12 noon and shared some principles from her book. Her name is Jane Powers. You may recognize her because she's a previous guest right here on the 30-minute hour podcast. And she talked about transforming your message to money. So you need to go back and listen to that episode because she was truly not your everyday guest. But her book just premiered this week. It's Revealing the Missing Piece. So go to the What Now Movement Facebook group. Make sure you join and check her out, and make sure you support her and pick up a copy of her book. And Jane, if you're watching right now, shout out to you.
Hey, Jane.
All right. So, Ted.
Yes, Eric.
I've got something that's on my mind.
Please share, Eric.
I thought you'd never ask. All right. So, I want to talk to you from the topic of how do you bounce back from rock bottom? How do you bounce back from rock bottom? And I want to introduce you to this guy. I got to tell you about this guy. He was born poor and he didn't have a formal education. He ended up joining the military and he actually got up to captain in the military. But like his leadership skills, they were so questionable and suspect, they ended up getting demoted. He got demoted back down to the rank of a private. One day he meets this nice young lady. They get engaged, and then she dies suddenly of this illness. So this event, it caused Tim to have a nervous breakdown.
Mm.
And then he recovered, and he decided he would start his own business. You know, we're entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
We have entrepreneurs watching this. He decided he was going to start his own business, but the business failed. Then he decided he'd try his hand at politics. And he tried locally at the state legislature. He lost. He ran for a seat in Congress. He lost. He ran for a seat in the Senate. He lost.
This is such an encouraging story, man. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, so it's always like, whatever happened to this guy? I mean, it seems like he was always at rock bottom.
Mm.
So this guy that I know, his name is Abraham Lincoln.
Mm.
And he went on to become the 16th president of the United States because he was able to bounce back from rock bottom.
Mm.
So here's the big takeaway, because I know the question, what can I do? What should I be thinking about if I want to bounce back from rock bottom? That's what our followers are asking right now. So this, Ted, this is the part of the show where we need everybody's undivided attention, right? I mean, if you're driving right now, you just need to pull over to the side of the road. We need your undivided. We need your focus, right? If you're on the Peloton elliptical, you should need to press the pause. Is that the Peloton? Okay. Yeah, if you're on the elliptical, you need to pause. Ted, is anything else people need to do?
Put the ham sandwich down. If you've been eating a ham sandwich throughout this is the time to put the sandwich down and listen up.
Right. We need your undivided attention. The question is, what do you need to be thinking about if you want to bounce back from rock bottom? And here it is. What you're going through is preparation for where you're going.
Mm.
You say that again. What you're going through is preparation for where you're going.
Wow.
You always have to keep that in mind. Sometimes when you're in a rock bottom place, it just seems like it's pointless, but it's not. And then later when you get, I know I heard stories about Abraham Lincoln where he just had this level of empathy when he was dealing with people who lost family members in a war back during the Civil War, because he could relate to them. He had so much loss, he knew how to empathize. So everything happens for a reason. And that's what, and I get it. It's easy to say that, but when you're at that rock bottom place, you're not hearing that. But it's important, and that's why it's good that we have our guest here, right? Because she has a formula to help people to bounce back from rock bottom. Now's a good time, Ted, for us to introduce our guest to the people. So check this out. She has experienced homelessness, abuse, and losing everything in a house fire.
Wow.
But she has an innate ability to find a glimmer of light in even the darkest of situations, and has paved the way through her personal journey for others to follow. For 25 years, she's been a leader at helping people to break through using the Boots formula and to take their lives to another level through solid lifestyle consulting and accountability programs. Her book's coming out. It's Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom and back into action in any situation. It's a resource for those who need the guidance and assistance to take their life back into their own hands. It's scheduled for launch on August the 4th, and it'll be available for purchase on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible.
Wow.
Please join me in welcoming to the 30-Minute Hour podcast, Sheila Mac.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric and Ted, for having me on the show today.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. It is truly an honor to have you as our guest. And I meant what I said. I really, when you and I talked initially, I just thought, we've got to get her on sooner because
That's
I
what
mean,
he that's what he said. He's like, Ted, we gotta do it on Thursday. I said, what? I got something else to do, Eric. No, we got to
yeah,
do it. Sheila, it's a great story. I said, okay. So
absolutely.
I told my mom, look, Mom, I'm just gonna have to see you over the weekend because we got a guest on Thursday. We just have to see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But let's roll back the clock. I want people to understand the backstory and kind of how you got to this point. So let's start with your childhood.
Okay.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, I wanted to be a famous singer, kind of like a lady rock star.
All
And
right.
my voice wasn't quite there. So I use my voice in other ways now. And I am a famous car singer.
Mm. All right. All right.
Yes, and my writing actually started very young. By the time I was 10 years old, I was winning speeches and prizes. I wrote about, now this is really going to date me, when we had the hostages in Iran, and I wrote about that and how to help people around the world globally. We had the gas crisis, kind of like what we're having now, but different, and all these different situations. And so I actually got to present in front of President Carter at the time,
Oh wow.
and so that was pretty cool, and that was part of it. And then not too late, too farther along in my journey, by the time I was 10 and a half, almost 11, things changed and I became homeless. And
Mm.
so life really had a turn, and I had to figure that adventure out.
Wow.
Wow.
Ooh. Okay, yeah, that's definitely so you go from presenting to President Carter and this high moment to now being homeless.
Hmm.
So looking back on it now, like if you could go back to that time, like what advice would you give to yourself?
It was the advice really that I took with me from this group of elder ladies. They were all kind of like my grandparents' age, maybe late 70s, 80s. And all these women would gather. We were in Los Angeles, California. So you have this diverse group of incredible women. They were all very stoic, older ladies that had gone through something in life. So they shared their stories over tea. And back then, I heard their stories at 5. And I
Wow.
thought, oh my gosh, one lady from a concentration camp, she lost her whole family. Another one lost her husband, all these crazy stories. And I thought, okay, if they make it, I'm gonna have my own adventure and my own stories. And I kept their teachings and their stories with me. It was living history. It was real. It was getting to know what really happened and the emotion behind it, not just a boring history book with where they take everything out that really matters. And so I took that with me on my journey, and I thought, okay, I'm on a grand adventure now. Cool. This is part of it. And, I'll get back on my feet. No worries. So
Mm.
when you're young, you're resilient.
Hmm.
Wow.
Interesting. Okay. And so what were some of the other life challenges that you experienced that inspired you to ultimately become this lifestyle reboot specialist?
Well, I went, like I said, homeless for 3.5 years, found foster care, emancipated early. And in that, one of the things that led me to some training was I was staying at a girls' home, a group home. It was Laverne, David and Margaret Girls' Home. And then I knocked on the door of the old orphanage, which was purchased by an artist. Um, uh, Michael Whipple and his wife Pamela Weston Whipple. So she was the daughter of the Weston Hotels. So she was
Mm-hmm.
designing the hotels, and he was the artist. He actually also had his paintings in the White House, and he did the dog and Never Ending Story and lots
Mm.
of other things. I knocked on their door, and because I had been on my own. So I was like, I need to go get a job.
Mm.
And I knocked on their door and said, will you hire me? I'll be your personal assistant. And they took me on and they trained me.
Wow.
And so I went to school, and then I worked for them. And then I would go to the girls' home, and the girls would get into trouble sometimes because that's what kids do. And I was so busy working. I also cleaned the school as a janitor. I had no pride. I was like, whatever it takes, I just need to
Wow.
make sure my needs are met later because, you kind of go on your own after that.
Mm.
And so I did that, and it gave me the chance to experience again the different parts of life and to have empathy and connect with the girls in the home. I still mentor for lots of young girls in homes, and also I adopted 3 children, 3 of
Mm.
my own. And then later, when I was older, I had a gift store, and then I had 5 gift stores in California. And I created an open source learning program for young adults emancipating from foster care that nobody wanted to hire. And close to 200 really went through my program. And I worked with the government and created this whole training program for other businesses. I was like the model, I guess.
Yeah.
And these young adults now, they're much older and have their own businesses. They went on to get letters of recommendation and get the best paying jobs. And so it's something that it changed my life in a good way. It
Mm-hmm.
really brought me to my store had a heart. It was about my kids that worked at the store and serving the community more than selling stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why it was successful. That's what made all the difference.
Yeah, and I would imagine, I mean, similar to what I was saying about Lincoln, you can empathize in a unique way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
incredible.
Hmm.
Oh. So you help people to break through using the Boots formula.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly is the Boots formula? How does that work?
Okay. So I started the Boots formula after I lost my house. I had traveled for 7 years straight, a lot with the Tony Robbins group and doing leadership and working and learning how to work with people that way, consulting. And then I decided I wanted to have home again and not travel. Bought this really cute house in Ventura, and it burned down the day after. I painted all the walls, I put all my furniture, my belongings, I lost my car, my cat, my house, all in the same night. I was going to finally sleep there for the first night, and it was gone. And I ended up I had this little prefab mobile home that I had made into a Airbnb rental. I cut it into 3 units, and I was in the supply closet, 400 square feet, and I was sleeping there. And I said, wait, what did I always do? What did I do differently now? And I started doing this formula. So it was the Boots formula was born during that tough time. I thought, I don't want other people that are alone to not have a resource. And so it would be the advice that I would give my best friend or someone I just meet that needs help. And just like, okay, we're going to sit down and we're going to go through this Boots formula. The B is for who you're being. It's about who you're being and all you're doing, and who you need to be, who you need to show up as to get back on track now. And then the first O is for your orientation. So that's saying it's not better than it is, it's not worse than it is, but this is where I'm at on the map, and this is where I want to go. And that has to be really honest so that you can't pretend it's okay and get back on track. And so I had to do that. And then the next O is for order of operations. That's the strategy. So that's when you're getting grounded, and you know who you need to be, you know where you're at, where you want to go. Now I need the strategy of the order of operations. So you think about when you're doing algebra, what comes first? You can't do one thing before you do the other. You have to do certain things first, second, third. And so I figured out a strategy of what I needed to do. First, I needed to get to ground zero again. Get food on the table, insurance. I still am waiting for this California fire insurance to come through with the it's a big thing. So yeah, years. So you don't really get what you think. And so I had to make that plan. And then the T is for thinking. That's the mindset. That's my son loaned me his beater car that drove sideways. You roll down the window and the neighbors laughed. And this is the neighbors at the mobile home prefab house that I and it was mindset. Think about it. I'm a super host renting out. People had stayed at this home for their honeymoon. It's a mobile home up in the hills. It's mindset because I made a yoga deck and it's in nature and I made it beautiful. And I said, I'm going to make this beater car even the best it can be. My son said, "Oh, you souped it up." And I said, "That's right." And I put positive things. And so that was my thinking and my mindset. People could be laughing at me. And I was like, no, I am going to practice what I have been taught on personal development. I'm going to see what happens. So the mindset is when people are laughing at you or saying that's a silly idea or what, kicking sand at you, whatever it is, where you're like, no, I've got this because my mindset is right. And then the S is for stepping up, and that's actually taking action. You can't just meditate on the sofa and think it's going to show up. You have to do the work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So now, of each one of these, you got the who are you being, the orientation, the order of operation, the thinking, or the mindset, or the stepping up. Is there one that you find is the most common stumbling block for people? Which one would you say is the most common stumbling block?
I think it's being, because we have an identity. I identified with a nicer car and a house. I worked hard all my life to build that. And next thing you know, I'm in this clunker car driving sideways, hoping the brakes work to get down the canyon. And
Wow.
and my clothes are gone, my nice things are gone, and I have to stay with who am I being? It doesn't matter what the situation, whether I'm homeless or in a mansion, whether I have a nice car or a beater car, how do I show up speaks louder than anything. All that doesn't matter.
Wow. And then, so you mentioned orientation, right? And it sounds like it's like facing the reality of where you are. And but now it's kind of this whole fake it till you make it culture, right? And if you ask somebody how they're doing, oh, I'm great. Yeah, I'm posting family pictures on Facebook, and I mean, talk about that. Do you see that being a stumbling block for people putting on appearances, or?
I think in a certain way, people are so grateful when you're real.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, thank goodness. The masks that we've had to wear, there's the pretending mask. And that's almost like the message of the universal pause is let's just take the mask off and be real. When we're real, people are like, oh, thank goodness, I can breathe too. Let's just talk. Let's just talk about what's really going on. None of these games. And it just, you have to ask for help when you need it. You have to be willing to humble yourself sometimes, and that's okay. And I think in this culture, sometimes people look down on that. But really, once you say, hey, I need help shows up.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting that you say that, because I think it kind of goes back to the whole kind of rock bottom, whatever that rock bottom moment is for you. And, where no matter what your situation is, just like, I guess, what was that out in Texas when they didn't have water?
Yeah.
Right. So you had a bunch of people that were, doing fairly well. And I had some friends out there that, okay, now for several days and sometimes weeks and close to a month, they didn't have water.
Wow.
So now you're in this place, but everyone's in that place, right? In Texas. And then you're, the COVID situation is kind of, everybody impacted everyone. And so, I guess when you can just say, hey, I need some help.
Yeah.
And someone else can be like, yeah, I can help you. Or you're not the only one, right? We all, we kind of all are dealing with something.
Yes, and one thing I always share about is 211. It's not, I don't get paid for it, but it's, if you Google 211 in your state or province, so 211 California, you will see all the different resources that are available for free that people are not aware of. If that means getting food on the table, help with paying your rent or mortgage, help for veterans, seniors, mental health help. It's there, and I love to share about it because I know somebody tuning in may not know. And if you're an employer, just post it. Imagine people coming to work, they don't want to tell you what's really going on. Maybe they need to get away from an abusive situation, or they have a loved one with an addiction. All that is available on this 211. And actually, somebody came on my show and shared about it, and I was like, that's what I was looking for. So people can get to the ground zero. They need the extra my book is great, but they need to have food on the table.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So there's that, and to be able to share that makes all the difference.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we think that asking for help is a sign of weakness, but it's not.
No.
I think it actually shows strength. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you understand your situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. I think we helped somebody who's watching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you mentioned you were with the Tony Robbins group.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about that. How did you get connected with Tony Robbins? And
Well, I had a neighbor that told me all about the events, and I thought, how much money you got to go? And I was like, that's crazy. And then I had a tough situation show up back during that time. I think I was going through a divorce and some interesting surprises, and with all these children that I'm supporting. And I thought, okay, I need to get some answers. And I don't have these answers because I don't have the answers to everything. So I started attending and I thought, wow, I want to learn the strategic intervention and how to work with people and help them more. And I was already doing that. I just didn't even know there was so much more to it. So I started the training, and I did the training with Chloe Madonis, who does, if you study psychology and you're getting your PhD, you study her work. And she had a private mentorship, and she helps Tony with his strategic intervention sometimes. She's like the psychological advisor for that. And so she had offered a mentorship, and I applied, and I had my youngest two kids traveling with me because they weren't quite done with school. So I pulled them out of school, and we did online school, and they traveled with me, and they learned so much. So my daughter took the training with me, and now she's studying psychology. She's getting 3 degrees in June. And so I'm very proud of her, but it inspired her and it spoke to her because that's her passion too. And then we got lots of practice working with people, helping with these interventions to help a business or a person just get back on track in their life.
Wow.
Yeah.
so help me out, Sheila. Yeah, I mean, you've been through just a lot of just amazing tragedies, and you experienced these different setbacks. And I know of people who have experienced way less, and they just fall apart.
Hmm.
So I mean, what is it about you that you're able to? Is that just something you feel like is just a genetic thing? You're just able to just kind of respond and bounce back, or how do you explain that?
I kind of think you don't have a choice, but maybe you do. So it's a choice, and it takes a lot of determination and focus. And honestly, my life, speaking in front of the president as a young girl and traveling the world with all these incredible leaders and being able to learn from them, I've had the most incredible blessings. And I've also had some really serious, tough things that showed up in my life. And so it's almost, I feel like a little bit guided and like, okay, I know there's a purpose, and I'm going to look past the situation and see how it's going to help me to help others, to make a difference, to model how to get back on track for my children. They're all grown now, but how any parent reacts to a situation, that's teaching your kids. It's not what you say, it's what we do. So it's a teaching opportunity.
So it seems like you don't just kind of go into a woe is me mode, and no matter what the situation is, you just kind of go through sounds like your boots process.
I do. And, I will be honest, I do have grieving. I do have moments of, I don't really tend to be a depressed person. I've never had that. And some people, it's a definite situation that they have to fight and deal with and get help for. That's just,
True.
some people have that. And I don't have that. But I've had times where I was sad, where I grieved. I lost my youngest son. He passed out in 5th grade playing basketball, and then they said, oh yeah, he's got this Wolff-Parkinson syndrome, and we don't know he could live a long time or not. And then he passed away December 21st, 2019. And I took time off. I actually, and that you read, my book is coming out in August. It was actually came out this August. So I think that was an older note I sent you. It became a bestseller overnight, but it was supposed to come out in January. So that was a setback, but I didn't care. And I had to go through being present for my other kids that came home and going through my own grieving and honoring that. And it's not over. There's, you have holidays, memories, things show up and you're like, okay, I'm there again. Whoa. And you just learn to have a different relationship with your loved ones on the other side. but it's a process. And
Wow.
so it's not something you'd want for anyone. And you learn to celebrate the time that you're, like for me, my son was with us. And it's a tough one, but it's modeling how to do that for my kids. We talked a lot. If you're angry, you can be angry. If you want to wake me up at 3 in the morning because you need to cry and talk all night, we're going to do that. So
Mm,
honor that time. Did my book still became bestseller? Now I have a TV and radio show. Um, Everything worked out, but I gave myself the time I needed to heal so I could serve others in a better way.
wow. It's amazing. Mm,
Yeah, I mean, this is just truly inspirational. I mean, I know there's somebody that's watching us right now that feels like they're at rock bottom, and I hope
mm,
they're getting strength from just watching how you're handling things and how you're moving forward. Because you're right. I mean, I think people are watching you, and
Yeah.
it may not just be your children. If
Hmm.
you're an executive CEO, you got people working for you. If things aren't going as planned, people are watching how you're handling that,
yeah.
Yes.
and what you do is going to determine how they handle it.
Hmm.
So, no, this is valuable stuff.
Mm,
Yeah, we're here with Sheila Mac. If you just joined us late on the 30-minute hour podcast, and she's helping us to bounce back, to have some tools to bounce back from rock bottom. So your book is out now.
Yes.
Yeah, your book has come out since I
Yes.
mentioned that earlier. It's coming
Yeah.
out, bestseller. A lot
Yeah.
of time has passed since I
Yeah.
mentioned it. All right. But it's bootstraps and bra straps. So, uh, who is the target audience, and what will they ultimately gain from reading it?
Okay, so my target audience, I thought, was going to be women, kind of, parenting age on up. And the reality is it's 50% women, 50% men.
wow.
And so it's anybody really going through a tough situation. There's support groups that are free. There's courses that are very affordable. I lead like a grief support. I lead different groups that help people get back on track depending on what they're going through. So I have a chapter on divorce, a chapter on grieving, but it's all using the Boots formula. I have a chapter on elder care. I cared for
Mm,
all my elders, even though they weren't able to really care for me much. I cared for every single one of them
wow.
until they passed away. And so I had that experience, and people going through that right now. I wish I had the advice that I give is what I had to learn the hard way.
Mm,
And so it's parenting advice based on raising 6 incredible kids, and then also that different relationship that happens when our children grow up and we have a different relationship,
mm,
and how that transition happens. And then there's relationship, topic on relationships. I call it shift or get off the pot. So it's, are you going to stay or go? And what do you need to do if you want to work on your relationship or looking for a relationship? How do you want to show up? And so I had a lot of fun with it. At the end, it's lifestyle redesign. Anytime we hit a tough, interesting rock bottom situation, this is the time where you get to rebuild your life, but this time it's on your terms.
mm,
So that's a way to do that, on your terms.
mm.
Now, I have to imagine you probably gotten some feedback or testimonials from people who've read your book who were in a rock bottom situation. Talk about that.
I've had many, and one of the young girls that I worked with, actually, her mother committed suicide, and she was on her own, and it was really a tough time. And she was able to get back on track. I mean, she was probably grieving for close to a year,
Mm,
and somebody referred her to the book, and she was able to go back to school, get a
mm,
new degree, and get back on track. And she joined our group, and I have permission to share about that, but I won't say her name. But that was a serious situation. Something like that, the mother was very sick, and
mm,
just wanted to end her physical pain. It wasn't, it was a different situation, obviously, but
mm,
something like that, it hits somebody, and she lots of times would get stuck. when we hit something really difficult happens and you just want to give up. And so I was really honored to be able to help her get back on track. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what about, how has the pandemic impacted your work?
I think that's what made the book a bestseller, and that's what makes the program so good, because we've been alone, and people that don't even have challenges, maybe with depression, had to fight that. Had to fight getting back on track, where your whole business shifted in a second, and we're not going to go back to the way it was. Things are all new, and we haven't even caught up to it all yet. Globally, so it's been really tough, and to have a group and free advice, free help, resources, like I shared with 211. I have so many gifts and resources. Every single chapter has an additional workbook and free gifts to help people, so that if they're in that situation, they get those extra gifts to help them, and then all the resources I can give to get them back on track, because sometimes you just don't know what the resource is that you need, and it makes all the difference.
Wow.
Yeah, I think this is just a unique time, because I hear so many stories of people who have always been the go-getter, gainfully employed. You know, they've donated to food banks, and now they're on the other side of it, where they actually need the food bank.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to, you were talking about earlier, that the whole being, your whole identity. Now you're in this crisis because you've always seen yourself as this. Yeah.
Yes. So it's not about what you're wearing or what you have or don't have. It's who are you being? It's, can you go to the food bank and, okay, maybe you need to get food, and then you end up helping out too. You know what I mean? Like, it's who are you being, and how you show up. One time I was hospitalized when I was really young, and I was hospitalized for quite a while. I was told I could have died. I had sepsis or something. It's your blood is getting poisoned with an infection. And my family left me. Everybody left me there. I had nobody. I was all alone, this young kid. And I thought, you know what? I felt sorry for myself for a day. And then I said, you know what? Give me a robe. And I had my IV, and they gave me permission. This was the Women's County Hospital in LA, because I didn't have insurance. I was so young. They don't give you insurance. I might have worked 40 hours a week, but they, made it so I didn't get insurance. You know how that is. And so I'm walking around, and they gave me permission to hand out water and juices, check the chart for diabetes, so certain people, because they were so short staffed. And I talked to all the patients. Guess what? I had all the friends I needed. And they were just as lonely in their beds as I was. And I healed faster because I got out of my head and into my heart. And that was just a switch for me. I probably could have died in that bed.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it made a difference.
Wow.
Wow, amazing. And so you're also the host of the Sheila Mac Show. It's on KCAA Radio, which is an NBC affiliate. What can people expect when they tune in?
So my show, I interview all kinds of people that have experienced maybe a tough situation in their business or personal life, and they're sharing the inspiration and what they did to get back on track.
Absolutely. And I can say I've had the honor and pleasure of being on the show.
Yes. Yes.
But
yes. And that's the thing. So you're sharing about business and incredible information. And so that's what we need to hear. And I really believe that whoever needs to tune in and listen, even if they may not listen to other shows, they'll hear your message. And it can't always come from me. I'm just, an extra platform to share. But these messages of hope and inspiration and community, that's what's going to give us freedom again, when we come together and share our stories.
That's great.
Awesome. Yeah, people definitely need to tune in. It's truly inspirational. If you listen to some of these episodes of people you've had on in the past, and you talk about, you've got a pretty wide, it's an NBC affiliate. So it gets out. Talk about some of the numbers, how far it gets out to people.
It's 3 to 5 million a month
Yeah.
get to hear the stories. And one of my goals when I wrote that book, my only goal was, how can I get people the resources they need, the help they need? If it does that, the book, and then it became the show, how can that happen? And as long as that keeps happening, that's my goal. That was my only goal. And you're able to do that. I don't know who it's helping. I may never meet that person, but it makes me feel like I contributed.
Mm,
So that was the whole purpose of the book, and the show showed up. Everything shows up when you're willing to say yes.
mm.
Mhm.
Wow.
No, that's great. That's great. So what's next on the horizon? I mean, you got the book, you got the show, you got your business. What's next for you?
Well, I have a docu series. I'm going to be on another show, I guess, a docu series, and that's coming up in the fall. That's actually about young Olympians and people in athletics, and I don't look all that athletic, but I'm going to be interviewed and a part of the show. And when I was a kid, before all this crazy stuff happened, I was invited to Junior Olympics for swimming, but there was no budget for this half homeless kid, and
Mm,
foster care kids don't have the budget or the support if they're really good at sports to continue on because they don't have the parents supporting them. And
mm.
so it's a whole program coming up, and I don't know how much I'm allowed to share about the name and everything, but that's going to be, we're going to be filming in the fall for that, and it's to help raise funds so that every child that or young adult that has these talents in sports has the opportunity to continue and imagine, get them out of trouble. Because if you're working out and you're practicing and you're preparing, what swimming, whatever sport it is, you don't have time to get in trouble.
No.
And so it really helps, and it's a great thing. So that's the next project.
Wow.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So it is time for us to go around the horn. This is Sheila. This is Ted's favorite part of the show.
Okay.
This is where we each give a closing thought
Mm.
that kind of summarizes the theme of the show to help people to become unstoppable. So, Sheila, you're the guest of honor. What is your closing thought that you want to leave with the people?
I think my closing thought is really that no matter what shows up in your life, there's this moment where you can choose, instead of being reactive, to take positive action. No matter what program you take or do, that's something that you have that choice.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that was short, sweet, and to the point, but
Yeah,
that's powerful.
short, sweet, and sound almost like my point. Yeah, I mean it's but I'm just gonna it's kind of guess piggyback on what you're saying there. I mean, you have that opportunity to you can either kind of wallow in whatever the situation is, or you can just kind of I guess take that moment. And I've been there in those situations where you're going through something, and especially in business,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh, like okay, like I just need to have today. Like just let me have today to just deal with it. Because
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow it's a new day, and I'm coming in, moving forward. But today I just kind of need that day, and I just think sometimes you need that time, right? If you say it's kind of a grief period, if it's going to be a day or a couple hours, it can't be forever,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if you say if this set amount of time, I'm just going to take the situation, I'm going to kind of say, man, this sucks what I just went through. And I don't think there's anything wrong with you saying this sucks. Nothing more than that, right? But
Right.
you assess it, and then you say, okay, how am I gonna move forward? Because yeah, I mean, I think that's when you see the resiliency that you have in a situation, and whatever the situation is, and you are just an amazing example of it. I mean, you were just dropping so many situations where, as Eric said earlier, many people could have just taken those situations and been, just that could have been it. and you just, again, are just an inspiration. And I'm glad that we got together on Thursday. Yeah, really. So Eric, you were right. We had to do this today. So thank
Sure.
you.
Yeah,
Well,
for sure.
tell your mom I said hi.
That's right. I'll make sure I tell her. That's right. That's right. And I was just kidding. Kidding.
Yeah. So for me, my closing thought is just something I've said on this show a couple of times before. I think we just have to understand that everything is happening for you and not just to you.
Mm.
Yeah, I think you have to. Again, it's simple but not easy, right? It sounds great, but when you're in the midst of something, you're not sitting there. Oh yeah, everything is happening for me.
Mhm.
But and that's where I think understanding when you need help comes in, because sometimes something happens is just so heavy you can't process that thing. I don't care how many inspirational quotes you say or how many.
Yeah.
You need help.
But I'd be like, Eric, look, don't come over to me with no more of those inspirational quotes, man. This sucks. So when I'm dealing with it.
This really sucks. I
That's
need
right.
help.
That's
Right?
right.
Yeah. And I think getting someone outside of yourself to help you to process that thing and deal with it, and sometimes even having that's not enough. It just takes time.
Mm.
Mhm.
So that's my closing thought, and I just hope that somebody is watching us now. You're encouraged by what you heard and by Sheila's example and what the things that she's doing to help people to move forward. So how can people best connect with you, Sheila?
Okay, well, I would love to give away a free gift. So, to get started on your Boots formula, you can go to www.sheila.com/boots, BOOTS meditation. And in that, you get a free mini course that introduces you more in depth with the Boots formula, and also a free meditation you can do when you're ready to get started and get back on track.
Excellent. Yeah, take advantage of that offer. We'll make sure we get the links and stuff in the show notes so you can go back there and click on it. Fantastic. Yeah, this has been an amazing episode. We definitely want to thank Sheila Mac
Thank you, Sheila.
for coming
Well,
on this
thank you.
special Thursday episode and sharing what she shared. Our goal when we do these shows each week is to help you to laugh, help you to learn, and ultimately help you to level up. And if you feel like we've accomplished that today, make sure you share the show.
Share the show.
Right. Now, don't keep good information to yourself. There's somebody that needs that meditation course. They need to hear about how they can access it. So make sure you share the show with someone that's in your network. And again, keep in mind, it's not your everyday podcast. You can find us at all the usual places, to include Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Anywhere you look to get your podcast, there you'll find us. That's our show for today. Once again, we thank Sheila Mac. Until next time, have a great one.
Right. Thank you.